The history of the Vodacom Durban July goes back to 1897, and of course there have been some dramatic changes in the interim, such as the amount of people that turned out back then. History books will tell you that approximately 2,000 to 3,000 people attended. This past year, 2014, they estimate between 55 and 60,000 people attended, and there have been some significant changes in terms of the distance and the course. And this year was a benchmark for the first time ever. The first two races were run on polytrack, and races 10 and 11 were run on polytrack. All the rest of the races were run on grass. But one of the most interesting aspects of this year's Vodacom Durban July is that there was a very strong contingent of international journalists that attended the meeting, and they were very intrigued by race number 3, which was the first race of the place accumulator run over the same distance as the Vodacom Durban July, 2,200 meters. And guess what? The horse called Master Sabina, a son of Jetmaster, who didn't make it into the field for the final Vodacom Durban July, ran a faster time than the actual Vodacom Durban July run at race 7. Interesting pace is always the key to the race, and the jockeys will rue the fact that nobody wanted to go to the head of affairs. Anthony Del Pesce obviously had the opportunity to go to the front, and so many other jockeys too. Great experience, but certainly one of the disappointing aspects of this year's Vodacom Durban July. But there had to be a winner. Of course, the opportune riding of MJ Baileyveld and Richard Fourie won the day for both Wiley Hall and Legislate, who was eventually declared the winner after an objection had been lodged by the jockey of the second placed horse against the winner, Wiley Hall, who crossed the line first. So let's pick up the action from race number 3, of course, Master Sabina's race, after which we'll speak to internationally renowned cameraman Neville Harbart, we'll speak to Laura King, we'll speak to Liesl King, we'll speak to Joe McKinnon, and we'll also speak to Neil Maurice, and finally Jeffrey Woodruff, who knows what it's like to wait an eternity for the outcome of a photograph that was once taken of his horse called El Picha, separating him by the smallest of margins in the 2000 running of the Vodacom Durban July, when he managed to vanquish Young Rake in the shadow of the post. Let's sit back and enjoy reflections on the 2014 renewal of the Vodacom Durban July.
Master Sabina's near the rail. On the outside, Gone Baby Gone's trying to put in a claim. Master Sabina and Gold Onyx, it's not much to choose. Gold Onyx, Master Sabina, Alexander's coming home powerfully on the outside. Master Sabina, here comes Alexander, but Master Sabina won it. Second, Alexander. Third place, Gold Onyx.
The handsome and imposing son of Jetmaster delivered the goods in no uncertain terms. Owner Michael de Brolio absolutely ecstatic that his father could be at the racetrack, Anton Marcus riding an absolute cracker, and of course Michael expressing the fact that this was one of the most exciting days of his life. Hot Ticket was next in the gold vase.
Hot Ticket's going to go through down the inside. Canterbury Tail the leader. Hot Ticket now starts a run, and Hot Ticket comes bounding into the lead at the 200. Wild One thrown out a challenge. It's Hot Ticket and Wild One over the last 100. Hot Ticket just the leader. Wild One is fighting back. Hot Ticket's going to do enough. Here comes Wave and Flag. Hot Ticket just won it. Wave and Flag second. Third will go to Wild One in an absolute thriller.
The son of Silvano is proving to be the best stayer in South Africa. There's no question of doubt that his KwaZulu-Natal campaign has been a resounding success. And now for the Gold Cup. Carl Nesius and Dean Kannemeyer, an absolutely formidable team. It looks like the only thing that can stop Hot Ticket is the weight, but he may be equal to the task. It was now time for the Golden Slipper, and Alboran C from the Mike de Kock stable had furnished into an absolutely beautiful filly after her scintillating win at Scottsville. Carry On Alice was also strutting her stuff, and Sean Tarry was expecting a great run for John and Jill Warner, John Costa, Lana Ann, and of course Captain Al. Dr. Andreas Jacobs had 2 fillies in the race, both wearing the same colours, and Sean Connery Lafferty had just come back from checking Harry's son.
300 to go, Balkan. Now Alboran C let loose. Pine Princess, Flame Cat's running a cracker. Alboran C hit the front. Down the centre, Pine Princess, Flame Cat. Alboran C, Bilateral gets going, Pine Princess. Alboran C needs the line. Bilateral's flying on the inside, and Bilateral got up from Alboran C.
Waiho Mawing absolutely ecstatic at the victory of the daughter of Lateral for Andreas Jacobs. And of course the same cannot be said of Muzieni, who was just a trifle disappointed. Waishong Mawing returning to the winner's enclosure in the very famous silks of Dr. Andreas Jacobs and the Main Chance Farms. A huge boost for the sire Lateral. It was now time for a star-studded field to take their place in the lineup for the Durban Golden Horseshoe, 1400 meters, and it was at this time that the president, Jacob Zuma, decided to arrive. Warmly greeted by Chairman Robert Movis and of course CEO Michel Nairak, the president arrived at Greyville Racecourse to honour and support the sport of thoroughbred horse racing. There was a palpable feeling of excitement in the air as the president walked up the stands. The stage was now set for the running of the Golden Horseshoe over 1400 metres, where Africa Byrne was hoping to maintain his unbeaten record. He was slightly slow away, but came down the inside rail in the black and red colours of Fred Krabbier under a cool ride by Colnesius.
Guinness. Harry Lime now puts in a run. Harry Sun towards the outside, taken out for a strider. 2 ducks to the inside. One Fine Day's running on nicely down the centre. Africa Burns also looking to lift the last 150. It's wide open. Angel explodes through. Harry Sun, One Fine Day. Africa Burn over the top. Africa Burn got them all. One Fine Day second. Harry Sun.
A richly deserved victory for the Dean Cannemare trained and Fred and Manuela Krabbier owned son of Trippy. Jane Thomas doing duty with Fred. She does a lot of buying and pre-spelling of his horses, and of course the inimitable war cry from the Dean Cannemare stable. And so the son of Trippy remains unbeaten, and whether we see him towards the end of July or in the Cape summer season, he is a shining star. Michael Leaf and his brother were first into the parade ring for the Vodacom Durban July. Richard Fourie making his acquaintance with the president and all the dignitaries. Kevin Shea would be riding Louis the King in a bid to pick up where he left off after the Sascot Triple Crown. Anton Marcus would be riding Rake's Chestnut. Into the deep end, and Louis the King looked absolutely ready for action. Rake's Chestnut was hoping to prove that his run in the Daily News 2000 was a step in the right direction. And Wiley Hall looked absolutely smashing. Jeff Woodruff and Dean Cannemare entered the parade ring, passing the National Horse Racing Authority's Denzel Pillay and Colin Hall. Mary Slack and Diane de Kock. They're hoping for a big run from Espumanti. Anthony Delpeche, Colnesius. Mike de Kock arrives on the scene. Peter Dunius. Glenn Hatt in discussion with Ian Longmore. He'll be riding Futura. Nancy Mitchell and the Legislate team. And of course, Deanne Nagel having a chat to Sean Cormack. The Punta Arenas team, Stewie Randolph, no pressure. Gaynor Rupert Muzieni and Kevin Somerville. And then Gavin Lorena and Lulu, Jeff Woodruff, and the team surrounding Louis the King. Louis was going to need a very stiff pace. Was it King of Pain perhaps that would make the pace? As Glenn Hatt and Sean Cormack walked to their Crawford mounts. Futura in the black and white, and Captain America in the pink and blue. Espumanti in the black and red, and Louis the King in his famous red, yellow, and black silks. Captain America looked outstanding. He was also going to need a decent pace so that he didn't pull too hard. So too Futura, and Jessica Slack, last instructions with Ormond Ferraris for cherry on the top. And then it was time to meet our president, Jacob Zuma.
Well, as usual, we're enjoying Greyville. The Durban July is one of the best occasions, I think, in the country. So we are all here enjoying it.
Someone must have told you I'm going to win, so please share that information.
Only one told me,
yes.
But he didn't give me his name. But he said he's going to win.
Hold on to your seats. They're about to be let loose from the machine. Captain America. Handler comes clear. The big showdown. Gates crash open to the roar of the crowd. Captain America almost came down, had a check for a stride or two. King of Pain moves around runners in the fast lane. Louis the King's 3 around the red cap. Rakes Chestnut third to last. Jet Bell and Cherry on the tops. The trailer in the Vodacom Durban July. Legislate now strides forward. There's no pace on as expected. A number of fighters, and Legislate now looking to do the work in front. Espumanti scraping, paying 3.5 off them. Wiley Hall's right there. Espumanti's at the rail. Talina homeward bound in the Vodacom July. Wiley Hall by 2. Legislate's and half the deficit, second and third. Espumanti, Talina. Legislate now let loose at the 300-meter marker, and Legislate now takes on Wiley Hall. Half the deficit further back. Wiley Hall digs in. Legislate, they come together. Wiley Hall, Legislate's now alongside. Wiley Hall, Legislate. Futurist flying on the inside. Here it comes. Wiley Hall perhaps ahead. Wiley Hall, Legislate's on the outside. Futura gets going at the end of the race, but as they come to the line, number 5, Wiley Hall rises up. The Australian import, Wyoming, MJ Baileyfeld, and Wiley Hall and Legislate. They came together from the 300-meter marker.
And as the horses crossed the finish line, or very soon thereafter, the sound of the race review hooter could be heard. And very shortly thereafter, jockey Richard Fourie lodged an objection against the winner, Wiley Hall. Michael Leaf stood there talking to Jill Simpkins and the rest of the team, and the atmosphere was absolutely electric as the expectant crowd waited for the result of the objection. Nancy chatting to Ravon Smith, and the mind started to flash back to 1994 and 1975, the last 2 objections in the Vodacom Durban July. And then the moment of truth. Objection upheld. But the man, I have to say, that came out of this harrowing ordeal like a knight in shining armor was Michael Leaf. As the Legislate team celebrated, Michael Leaf stood there in absolute and utter disbelief, always remaining calm, composed and dignified. As Kevin Somerville, Gaynor Rupert and Justin Snaith emerged from the back, so too Gail and Dennis Evans from Newbury Racing. A plan achieved, a dream realized. The very pinnacle of South African horse racing. And let's not forget Shively Stud, as the fireworks exploded and the crowd celebrated with the son of Dynasty Legislate, who was sadly not able to partake in his victory canter past. He will, however, live to fight another day, as Justin Snaith assures the president. And so to Neil Maurice.
I've seen 3 of them live. This would be the least conclusive running of the July, and for obvious reasons, because for some unknown reason nothing was prepared to take on the pace. It ended up being a sprint finish, but the horses that actually were up there were the ones, Legislate and Wiley Hall, who completely were able to dominate in the straight by getting away, by kicking away, and they had a tailwind. Everything was in their favour. The other jockeys were asleep as far as I'm concerned. It became very one-sided.
And so, without in any way detracting from the Vodacom Durban July, for many people the highlight of the day was the final performance of Beach Beauty.
Here she comes. Amizuka coming around to put in a claim, and it's Beach Beauty. Amizuka now throws out the challenge, but Beach Beauty by a length. Amizuka's on the outside. Beach Beauty continues to roll. Amizuka's making a race of it, but Beach Beauty, she just keeps on finding more, and Beach Beauty won it. Amizuka second, Ossetri Pink, maybe yes, and Lana Falcon.
This was truly one of the most emotional moments I've ever seen on a racecourse in South Africa. Sean Cormack returns to Dennis Dreyer like a proud father. Stewie and the entire Dennis Dreyer team immensely proud of this daughter of Dynasty having recorded her 17th victory out of 31 starts. And in every single race in which she ran bar 2, she earned a stake check for the Shank Syndicate, for Dennis Dreyer, for Sean Cormack, and for each and every jockey that got on her back. They will never forget Beach Beauty as being the most genuine, kind, An honest racehorse that we've seen in South Africa for many a year. A great tribute to the late Trevor Armitage by Joy and James. And to Johnson's Overalls for sponsoring the Garden Province Stakes. The life and times of Beach Beauty as we speak to international racing journalist Neville Hopwood.
I've never been to South Africa before, but honestly, I think you've got something incredibly special. The atmosphere is, I've never experienced an atmosphere like this before. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely sublime. The standard of the racing is exceptional. Some of the facilities I've seen in Summerveld are just mind-blowing. The backdrop of the Veld down into Durban is just stunning. And the horses that you're producing are some of the best in the world. Once the restrictions on quarantine are ironed out, South African horses will flourish no matter where they go around the world.
I'm very lucky that I attend a lot of international races. Hong Kong, Singapore, the USA, the Breeders' Cup. I've done 26 of those. I do the Arc. But this is great razzmatazz, fantastic atmosphere all the way through the week to the day itself. And then when you get here, there's that fantastic infield which possibly matches anywhere else that I've ever seen. And I've been to Churchill Downs, I've been to Epsom, wonderful. And some of the outfits here and the general, I would call, badinage between the people here, it's an awesome sight.
Well, going into it, I thought Legislate was probably a worthy favourite because he seemed to have beaten everything else. So I thought he'll probably side with him. I don't agree with the decision to reverse the placings. In England, they wouldn't have been. For me, Legislate bumped Wiley Hall first. So I thought it was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, but I do understand the rules here are very, very different, and I'm not perhaps as clear on those as I should be. But for me, I thought it was the wrong decision. A lot of people think it's the right decision, maybe because it was a more favoured horse that came out on top. But either way, the first two I thought were both very, very gutsy. It was a very hard-knocking performance from Legislate, who I understand has actually picked up a bit of a knock. And the great positive story is that he's hopefully, if he's all right, going to come to us in Dubai next year to race there the year after. So in terms of a good result for the race and globally for racing internationally and in South Africa, it was a good result in the end, just not the way it was obtained.
I must be honest, I was surprised by the decision. I thought it was harsh, to say the least. It just seems that with these things, most of the racing fraternity see it one way, but the people that have the vote see it another way. Now, I'm not saying they were wrong. They've got all the technology there, so maybe they can justify it, but it certainly looked to be a very, very harsh decision for me. If there's an incident, I think the hooter should go anyway. Just like the Stipes are saying, don't worry guys, we saw it. Yes. We're looking at it. That it really shouldn't be up to the connections of a horse to object. It should be really the Stipes, I think, should do it immediately if there's or a race review, whatever. But do something, don't keep us all guessing. And it's very hard for when you're watching the race, even on TV or in the grandstand, to see if there's interference, like lateral movement. You can't tell. So you've got the guys in the tower, and it's quick. They can quickly radio down, just say sound the hooter because there was some interference here, and then everybody knows where they stand.
Well, now we are taking South African racing 2 or 3 times a week, so we need to come back more. I think I definitely need to come here more in order to make sure our viewers get the best of it, and also for me, I need to understand more about it because it's fantastic. And now I've been to this one, I want to go to more.
Well, it's been a great delight to have you in South Africa. Just tell us a little bit about how your team has worked here in South Africa, because it's a small and very close-knit and very hard-working team.
Yeah, there's just myself and Clint, the cameraman, and we've got a very small little portable camera that we're doing our best with, and backed up with race footage from today. We're going to make a sort of programme inside South Africa, explaining to people who've never been here, they've never seen the training facilities, they don't know how it all works, explaining to them exactly how things fit in and that it isn't easy. And what Mike de Kock and other trainers do in getting horses to Dubai is the result of a huge, long process, and that's something we'll be touching on as well, because that's obviously still a major issue. But we couldn't have done it without all the help we've had from people here, and everyone has been so friendly, and that's, I think, the main impression I'm going to take away.
And Beach Beauty, she records that 17th win, a stake money 4.8 million. She now pushes herself over the 5 million rand barrier. She's now earned 5 million rand, the great Beach Beauty.